see, I have opened it first. So IMDb website is one of the most common websites that you scrape data from. Okay. You might have already created some scripts that actually scrap this data. But then if you have not, this becomes an excellent point wherein you can start creating your web scraping journey. Start your web scraping journey. It involves you to basically get content from this link. So I am referring to IMDb top 10 or top 250 websites. Okay, so we are at the main page of IMDb. Okay, everyone I am very much sure is aware of what IMDb is, and basically why we refer it, uh, to identify content that we can watch uh, based on their popularity, their ratings, etc. And it gives us content which is worldwide content. So, having said that, I'll try to get the data from IMDb top 20 to top 250 page, which involves the movie name, possibly the year when the movie was released, length of the movie, and we'll see what parameters we can scrap. But we'll get these data from these specific web page. To do that, I mean, if just give me a moment, this banner keeps on popping up every time. Are you able to see this banner, which is popping up on my screen, which is not allowing me to click anywhere? So let me first share it in the chat window. This is a website we are trying to scrape. And for this, I'll create a folder to my documents. And let's call this folder, let's name this as web scraper underscore demo. And here I create a folder with the name IMDb. And here I create my main file. Main file wherein we'll write the script. Okay. Now again, first thing first, you all know what is the best practice. I mean, I always prefer to create a virtual environment for a specific project, or even at least a virtual environment for group of projects, so that I don't mess up with the global installation of Python on my base machine. So the process is very simple. We have seen it yesterday as well. You can either do it with command line, you can open VS Code, anything works. Let's do it with command line this today. So what you do is you navigate to the path where your project folder is present, which is this one. I'm changing the directory to this. You can check, okay, sorry, dir for Windows, ls for Unix. So you see, we have the main.py file, and that's the only file which is present. And herein we will be creating the venv, or better, we would be creating venv one step back, which is at the web scraper demos, because let's say I'm creating a common virtual environment for all our forthcoming sessions. So I'll be doing all the forthcoming sessions within this folder. So I'll go one step back. I'll create Python -m venv venv, which means I'm using the Python installation of my base machine to create -m stands for machine level. Okay, to create a virtual environment using venv model. And what would be the name of my virtual environment? venv. I can name it anything, ABC, XYZ, whatever I want. Okay, right now I am making it more relevant and calling it as VENV. Once I run this, I'll expect a virtual environment to be created at the root, which is over here. It's still in the process of getting created. We'll wait until it finishes. Okay, it's done. Um, so now, once we have our VNV activated, what we need to do is we need to go to the scripts folder, copy this path, and sorry, I'll open the VS Code over here, which from wherein I'll start my terminal and then I'll try to activate my virtual environment. Same stuff, guys. We have done nothing new so far. I'm just setting up my virtual environment for our main project. So you'll get the terminal from here. You could see currently nothing is activated. So I'll navigate to this. You can, instead of doing all of these settings, you can also do configuration over here. Okay, default configurations, and then what will happen is every time VS Code will start, so it will point to a specific folder with a specific interpreter and virtual environment activated. But over there also, if you are changing between multiple projects, then you have to change the virtual environments as well. I'll activate the VENV. And now I will open the main.py file. The moment I do that, it will identify this as a Python file and it will try to get an interpreter, as you can see at the bottom of the VS Code over here. And default, for some reason, it always chooses the Miniconda Python, which I don't want. I always use it only for data science activities. So I will enter the path from here and um, I'll give the virtual environment Python exe, which is web scraper demo venv scripts within this scripts folder. Once I do this, once it's done, you can basically check your virtual environment. It should be new with very limited capabilities of with limited libraries within it. And now we would be using many other libraries. Let's say I would like to install. Definitely we'll use requests. Okay, we would use Beautifulsoup and all of this before like installing everything over here. Let me show you. I mean, you might already be aware of this. So pypy.org. Herein, if let's say, for example, I am interested in getting the requests library. So I'll just type in requests and you can see the version that I would like to work with. You can see the version as just a minute. So requests as 2.3.1.0. This is the version of request, latest version of request as on May 22, 2023, as in approximately 1 year back. And if there is any specific version you want to work with, you can choose that one. Whatever it is, you have this command over here. Copy this, paste it over here. You can basically use the command pip install. You can basically use the command pip install requests Beautifulsoup, or let's say another library like pandas, OpenPyXL, whatever it is, in one line to install everything at once. But I'd like to show it to you one by one. So all of that would would be very easy to understand and there shouldn't be any confusion. So here we are installing requests library. It's done. The next thing we would like to do is get the Beautiful Soup library. Now, what is Beautifulsoup and what is request? Request, I think we are aware because we have used it yesterday as well. What does request library does, guys? What is it used for? Hmm? Guys, what is request library used for? Anyone?
Waiting request website.
So if there is a website wherein you need to send some HTTP requests, you can use it for, yeah, absolutely, HTTP requests basically. And once you use that HTTP request, you basically are able to send, get, post, put, delete, all of the major CRUD operations that you can perform on that specific website. The content that you would get from the request library, you would then use the Beautiful Soup to parse that specific content, get some specific tags, or get based on that tags, you would get some specific data. The same way how we used XPath to get a tag, and then based on the tag, we used to get the text within that tag. The same way, Beautiful Soup has multiple parsers within it. Okay, so if you're not sure what exactly I'm talking about over here, just stay with me. Okay, and I'll tell you when the moment comes, like how exactly we are scrapping the data. But at a very basic level, understand request is used for sending the HTTP request to a web application website, basically, using which we get the content, which in turn is getting parsed with the help of Beautiful Soup library. Beautiful Soup library is basically your BS4, which you will find it over here with the name Beautiful Soup 4. Pip install Beautiful Soup 4. And if you scroll below, you would see the command over here to import Beautiful Soup library. So over here, you can see a little difference. Like normally what happens is if we have pandas library, then we import pandas as PD. If we have NumPy library, we import NumPy as NP. If we have scikit-learn, import sklearn, and then we use the further methods within it. Here, Beautiful Soup 4 is the name of the library, but then we are saying from BS4. Okay, so BS4 is the library name within which we are importing the Beautiful Soup Python class. Within this class, we are basically perform certain operations. Okay, so anyways, I'll copy this command and come back to my main.py and install it inside my virtual environment. It will install a lot other dependencies as well. You can see whenever we install any package, it doesn't, I mean, it not only installs that main package, but it installs the other dependent packages as well. Okay, which is needed for its functionality. All right, so like, I mean, if you install pandas, NumPy will get installed by default. If you install request, then urllib3 is needed always, and these are the dependent libraries until this point, and request becomes your main library that you will be installing. Okay, so these are the libraries we need. And what's next? So as far as the project is concerned of scrapping IMDb and all, uh, we can scrap the data and then we can export the data, isn't it? We can scrap and we can export it or save it inside an Excel file. Now, there are two ways of doing this. You are already aware of pandas as far as my understanding is concerned, because yesterday we had a situation when we had to use pandas data frame, and then I mean I got to know like you have worked with pandas. So definitely pandas is one way you can create an Excel file and use the to underscore Excel function. Okay, pd dot to underscore Excel function to save any to create an Excel file and save any content within it. So better why not use some different approach? Um, One of the most common approaches is to use the library called as OpenPyXL. Okay, it's one another library which is used for handling Excel related files and adding appending content within Excel related files. To use that, we have to first install OpenPyXL, and you can search it over here to just verify if uh, if the name is correct. Yeah, so OpenPyXL, and this looks like the relevant one, March 11, 2023, latest version. Copy this and paste it over here. So we should have OpenPyXL as well on this machine. All right, let's wait for that to get installed. Meanwhile, what we'll be doing is in main.py, which is our main Python file, the logic would be we'll be importing using these libraries, and then we'll be sending the request to the website of IMDb. So let's do that. Why we still use requests when HTTPX provides better control? See, HTTPX has some more features, of course, and requests has its own, you can say, set of features. I mean, these two libraries at the end do same thing, but from the security perspective, there are more better features in HTTPX. It's not like this is right or wrong. Just for the purpose of understanding web scraping, we are trying to understand each and every library. Later down in the course, you would also use other libraries and frameworks. Let's say you mentioned about HTTPX. There are other libraries like Scrapy, which are better than Beautifulsoup and Beautifulsoup and Request for web scraping. So it's not like we can jump directly to Scrapy to learn that, because Scrapy is a complex framework for performing web scraping. To understand that, we need to understand the basics of that specific concept. Hence, we are going step by step. We are understanding requests, we are understanding BS4, we'll understand the parsers within BS4, HTML parser, LXML. Then we'll move at one point to HTTPX, we'll move to Scrapy and so on. So it's in our journey ahead, I would say. Okay, I hope that answers your question. I'll basically start with the import. So firstly, I'll import request. So this is the request library. Then I would like to import this OpenPyXL because we'll be using for Excel handling Excel data. We'll also be using BS4. So from BS4, we'll be importing Beautifulsoup. Beautifulsoup. All right. And now we have to firstly try to send request to our website, which is IMDb website. So let me copy the URL from here. Oops. So this banner, I'm not sure if everyone is able to see on my screen. Whenever I try, if my cursor goes to the top of the screen, it hides my web page controls. Are you able to see this banner, Hoya, which is the Zoom banner?
No.
No?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, yes. Let me restore this. There should be better. Okay. Copy. Paste it over here. So what we'll be doing is we'll be sending requests dot get, and then here we'll be sending this request to this website. Now, whatever response that we are getting, okay, we can save it in any variable response variable. Since this is a source data, I'll call this as source, okay. And we'll try to implement all of this using some standard best practices. We'll not just write code, but we'll try to implement some exception handling as well. So I'm trying to use a try except loop. Like if the request is successful, it will execute all the other steps within the try block. If it faces a failure, then it should go into the exception block and show me the exception. Whatever exception it is, I'm not categorizing it right now. We can make it more refined by specifying what exception we are trying to capture. Right now, I'm capturing any exception and will be printing that specific exception over here. Okay. Now, once we basically have the information, you can basically use this source and then the text within it to see if you are able to get the correct data from this specific website. Okay, you can see over here, you are getting some kind of data over here, but this is 403 forbidden for me, which looks like I am, since I've tried it multiple times, the block has occurred for my specific script over here. You can implement the same logic over here if anyone is doing it side by side to see if you are getting the data over here. If this was some error related to script, then definitely we would have got that error related to script. But here you can clearly see it's sync status code 403 forbidden. You can get that HTML structure of DOM, wherein you have a head, you have a body, but the information within it is missing. So clearly the website is not allowing this script to be to pass that specific website. But for you, if you are doing it for the first time, and since you are doing it on a VM, definitely I think you would be having some proxy within your organization. And through that proxy, if you are trying to scrape it, you would not face any blockage. Try to implement it at your end and let me know if it is. I'm not directly jumping to the stage wherein you do proxy rotation and user agent handling right now. I will go on it at a very specific moment, which will bypass this specific restriction. But right now, today's focus is understanding BS4 and this uh, request library and other assisting libraries like OpenPyXL and all, if we use it for data processing. Anyways, since there is no error related to script, what we can do is we can continue with the script. You can implement exactly as it is at your end and see if you're getting the data out of it. Okay. So what we need to do is we have this text object, and I was expecting the HTML text as we are receiving over here, but this is not the complete one. If also you want to see the status code, okay, so same error, okay, you are getting the same error at your end, which is forbidden in this case. Mm, let me see if we get the same error for any other IMDb page, or is it only for this page? Okay, the same error. Let's try to go to the main page, home page of IMDb site, which has this, and I'll try to Hmm. Okay. Okay, I'm getting the same issue over here, which is 403 forbidden, which is like for the entire site. We are getting a 403 error. Oh yeah. So basically it looks like this site itself is blocked. Like we cannot use this specific site for any like for any scrapping activity for time being. Looks like because the same thing was working uh, earlier when I tried to you can say perform some scraping activity. So don't worry, this site is basically temporarily, I think so it's saying forbidden because yesterday itself this was working. I thought it is getting, I mean, my IP address is only getting blocked or something, but as you are mentioning that it is not working for you as well, then looks like something is not right with the host application over here. Okay, because if there was any script related error, then definitely script would have given us some error. So what my suggestion would be, okay, for later use case, we complete this code with this specific site, okay, and once this code is ready, you can try at any other point in day or maybe tomorrow to see if this script exactly scrapes the data from IMDb or not. Okay, uh, yeah. So yeah, it's a client error. Yeah, so I didn't understood your question. Not sure what exactly you're trying to say. So yeah, my suggestion is we'll complete with this script and over here we'll be completing the script as it is, and later you can use it for the scraping activity. Like you can test whether it's scraping the data or it's not scraping the data and all, right? So just change this to, I think so it is top 10. So it was top, what? Top 250 or something. Mhm. Okay, top 250. Replace this over here. And we're getting source.text. Mm. This is basically your text that you would get from sending the request from that website. And then you would basically check if, let's say, you're getting the right status code, in which in case it is 403. You can use source dot status code that will give us, these are basically attributes from the request module, request library. So we use the text attribute to get the text, source dot status underscore code to get the status over here, and we would also use, let's say, if there is any incorrect URL over here, so we could use basically source dot, I think it's release for status. So it will also give us this information. If I run this over here, you see it is 403, which comes from the status code attribute, and raise for status basically gives us an error. Okay, we are actually saying that, okay, raise an error for 403 status code. All right. Let me quickly see what exactly is in the chat. So this issue is persisting since last 1 week. Okay, but yesterday it was working for me because I have a script created over here. This is my main file, right? And this is the main file that I was working with over here. You see over here, this main file, and it has something which is, I think this one is related to which site? Input.csv. Let's see what's there in the input. So, okay, it's a different web application. Let me quickly check. I have another BS4 site, not BS4, IMDb site, which was working until I think so sometime back. Um, this is the one I think we are referring to. Okay, and I accidentally ran it before this call as well. If you see over here, we are getting a 403 client error, for which I thought like, okay, it is because maybe this is like the issue of blocking of this IP address. But no worries. I mean, even if it is not working, or even if the site is not working, at least from the perspective of understanding the concept, we'll just complete this code. We'll switch to the new site also, and you can run this as a reference later to see if this code is working or not. The moment the code will give error, you will see code related errors at the bottom. Okay, so right now the point here is to understand what exactly we are using within the BS4 and requests library, and we can use it for this site and for other sites. Okay. Um, so I'll come back over here. So you're observing for 1 week, okay, as you mentioned. Not sure, because yesterday or maybe, yeah, yesterday itself, I tried this, but it was for unfortunately working for me. And this morning it is giving me this 403, which I just showed you. Like before the call itself, I executed this script and it gave me the client error. But then we can move ahead until we encounter any script-based issue. So this thing, I'll just mention some comments so it's easier for you to recall. We are using this to raise an alert for incorrect URLs. So if let's say your URL is incorrect, it will eventually give you 404. It will raise an alert. Status code, you know that it will give us the status code, which we got over here, 403. Now, what we need to do is, once we get the data from the request library, we have it inside the source variable. Okay. Now this source variable can be used, like the source.txt over here can be used by the Beautifulsoup library so that we can pass the individual elements within that HTML DOM, document object model. Okay. So just imagine that this website, whatever data is present in the website, we have saved it in some text file. Okay. And from that text file, we are trying to navigate through each and every tag and attribute to get the data of our choice. So if I want to access this data, I would normally inspect this specific title. And from here, I will see that, okay, it is within the H3 tag. I'll maximize this a bit and zoom in. So it's within the H3 tag. And now inside the H3 tag, you can see there is the specific class, and after that you have that title, which is the Shawshank Redemption. So H3 class IPC title underscore text, and then this. The same way we would navigate within our uh, source.txt variable and then get these specific attributes. Now over here, I'll just scroll up a bit. All of this is within the div class that you can see, div class. Mm, and it's inside under the unordered list. And within this, you have these values. And then there is multiple lists. Like I think so for each movie, there is an li list tag. And then you can see as I scroll down, it is moving down over here on the right side. So everything is present within the list tag. And unordered list basically, if you see, highlights the entire portion of that specific list. Okay, no problem. So we'll switch back to our source code, and here next step would be to create a Beautifulsoup object. Now we are inside this try block, so let me create an object from the Beautifulsoup library. So Beautifulsoup library is what we'll be using. The first argument over here is, as you can see, markup, which is expecting either a string or a byte information. Okay, this is for or symbol. Okay, the pipe symbol that you can see. So it is expecting either a string object or a byte object over here. We are using source.text. If we directly provide source, that is also fine because it's a byte object. And if you check the data type, it will be bytes. If you see source.text would be string, as you can see. So now either of them is fine. We can pass it on as a first argument for this variable, and the next argument would be there are multiple arguments over here. You can see the type of features that you can select, but the important one is a parser argument. Okay, so basically we have two types of parsers. One is HTML parser, another one is called as LXML parser. HTML parser is used for passing HTML page. LXML is used for passing both HTML and XML pages. Okay. If you see, if you apply both of them will work mostly, but LXML has better, you can say, parsing capability because it passes both extensible markup languages pages like your XML files, and it can work with HTML documents as well. So it has some good features within it. For our use case, we can basically supply the source.text as in the first argument, and the parser, which is I am expecting, or you can say HTML parser for now to be mentioned over here. We will create a variable for this. The common convention is we write it as a variable called soup. Okay. Using this variable, you basically try to now using the soup variable, the soup object, if you print this soup object, it will basically have entire content of your website, or it will have the entire content of your web page, in fact, inside a proper HTML format, because now you are passing it with the help of HTML parser. So you can use simple methods. If you see, there are multiple methods over here, but the methods of our interest is find all. These two. There's find all next, find all previous as well. You can use it according to your use case. Now I'll give you one very good reference over here. Find all basically will find all the relevant tags. Now in this web page, if you go over here and see that there is a list tag, if I use find all and provide li tag, it will go inside this DOM and give me all the li tags. From there onwards, I can try to create a strategy that will give me the text, which is the name of the movie. If I use find, it will give me the first instance of that tag. If I use find next, I just go to that method. If I use find underscore next underscore siblings, so this is exactly the same way how XPath used to navigate, right? If you want to find an XPath of a web element based on their immediate sibling, so what does a sibling means over here? Let's not get confused. If I have to show you a sibling over here, so div is a sibling, this div is also a sibling, and this div is also a sibling because they have a common parent of li, which is list. Okay, li becomes your parent for this specific web element. Div class IPC metadata. Okay, I just scrolling if it is not visible. For me also it's very small, but then you can see if this is the highlighted web element wherein we want to get the data from. We have to understand that this is the target element. The upper div element and the lower div tag both are the siblings, right? And li is the parent for it. And let's say the body of it becomes the ancestor, something like this. I mean, these are conventions that we use while we use XPath, and we create relative XPath using these concepts only. That was through the XPath technique that we used. And normally we use these techniques in Selenium more to create or identify web elements based on these relative XPaths. Okay. Now, over here, things are a little simple because if we want to find siblings and all, so all that we need to use is these methods over here, find next sibling. So over here, if I want to find the next sibling, I'll give the target sibling over here. I'm just writing some pseudocode over here. I'm giving the target sibling over here. It will go ahead and check the next sibling, which is just below that specific target element. So it will identify this one over here. So based on this element, I am identifying this element, and then whatever the content is or attribute information I need to get, I can get it. Let's say I want to give this information about this movie, title, title attribute, and see more this. So this is the concept. You can use many methods over here. There's find next siblings, find parents, find previous siblings, and so on. And we are using find all method or find method in our use case right now. Okay, so let's say I want to find all the elements with let's say t body. I can see t body over here with the t body tag, and which means table body. Okay, so I want to find all the elements with the table body tag, and what's the class for it? It's lister hyphen list. So oh yes, see the convention of writing this is you can see class over here. So it is class underscore, that's how you would be writing, is equals to the name of class, which was lister hyphen list. And basically you can within the t-body, you can find all the other attributes within it. So other attributes are, let's say, table rows. So I can use find all as a chain after this, or you can make it as a separate line. Let's say, for example, all of this returns you a variable, let's say x, and on top of this, you write x dot find all to find the tags which are within this table body, right? So let's say tr, table row is another tag, right? So I'll use find all and then tr like this. So you can do it in two ways, and then you get the result as y, and then you can perform this action. Or all of this can be summed up in one row just to by creating something like a chain, and then you get the output over here. Okay. So over here, I'll just quickly close this and zoom out a bit. So here, this is the exact. Okay, I'm not using Chrome, I guess. I wanted to check for selectors hub as well. So what I'll do is I'll open a Chrome instance. And in the Chrome instance, I'll try to open this website. So Selectors Hub is a plugin on Google Chrome, right? So hence we are using Google Chrome, and preferably Chrome is somewhat little better. With the help of developer tools, you get a better view and understand. I want to inspect this specific part. So I'll go to the inspect first. Okay, and I'm trying to search. Well, let's see. I'll search it over the body. Mm, Pyrite slash body. Sorry, whatever. Or TR tag. Or let's say all the div tags is what I'm expecting. So what's happening? It's not able to give me all the div tags also. Are you guys facing the same issue with selector sub, or is it only me? You have selector sub installed at your end by any chance? Okay, now I'm getting it. Maybe it was the results were very slow because there's a lot of results it seems because I'm passing for all the division tags, right? You guys have selector sub installed at your end, or is it not installed? You are using something else? Okay, you have installed, right? Okay, so just try this. I'm also checking for T-body tag, which is this one. And within the T-body, you are basically getting this information. Is you can see on the right hand side, highlighted information on red, dotted red, right? So this is the first information that I got, within which we have our movie name, and you can see the text, which is the first text over here. Cool. So I think we are on the right track right now because right now we are getting the T-body and then the row. And now once we get that information, once we get that information, we will basically run an iterator on top of this. So until at this point, what exactly we are getting is we are getting all the rows. So like Shawshank Redemption, Godfather, Dark Knight, we are getting these elements, the whole elements within which year is also present, rating is also present, and all the other stuff. This is the table body. This is table rows. Okay. So we are getting that information inside movies. Now to list down individual um, texts, we have to run a for loop, an iteration on these table rows. So what you can do is run a for loop for sorry, for I in movies, or let's call this as for movie in movies. For movie in movies, I want to find the text within this, right? So if you see here, I'll close this one. Uh, okay, I'm inspecting this first element over here. Okay, the first text over here. And inside selector sub, you can see that this is the relative XPath, which is fine. And if you actually see the HTML page for this specific thing, you would see This is your h3 class, and here is your text. This is h3 class, and here is your text. Okay. So now what we can do is within this, we can navigate a little up and see until this point. It is inside the div class, inside the div class, inside li, inside unordered list. This is your list, first list in fact, and then you have second list, third list, fourth list. This is your unordered list, which is present inside your div. So where did I see the TD earlier? Uh, mm, where exactly was the table data which I saw earlier? And we checked in selector server as well, right? It basically gave us the information. Let me quickly check if I'm getting table data or TD, or we used a table body, right, initially. It's showing 0 elements not matching. Let's say TR, any element. But I remember I saw TD and T body somewhere. Anyways, if we are not able to find it, let's quickly change that approach. You have li, and clearly within li, you have the div. Exactly, you can see within this div classes, you have your a tag. Okay. So what we need to know, or what we need to get, is this will become a dot text, and then we will say, okay. So first we will get all the ULs. First we will get the entire UL, which is this. This will become unordered list. Find all list items, li. Okay. Now for movies in movies, we will basically, let's say, interested in getting the name of the movie. We'll be interested in getting the rank of the movie. Let's say year of that movie and rating of that movie. Okay. Name of the movie. Now, name of the movie is nothing but the text that we get, which is this one on the right side, if you see. Present inside a tag, anchor tag. All right. So what we would be doing is we would be using this movie dot find, and what we need to find over here is the div tag, because this basically it's within the division tag, right? Where the class is IPC title this. Okay. Where the class is IPC title this. So I can copy this entire thing and I'll paste it over here. Div tag comma class underscore is equals to this. Inside this div tag, you have an anchor tag dot a, and that anchor tag holds your text, which is this one, Shawshank Redemption dot text. Text is not a function, it's an attribute over here, and that's how we are trying to get the text. Okay. Now there can be, you can say that, okay, why we have selected this div class, and we can also select this one as well, which is absolutely fine. You can say, in fact, you can go ahead with all other unique div classes, which is the parent, and within that it will search for a you can say it will search for a class, and within that class search for an anchor tag which has that has a text, and that text would be the text of your movie title. Likewise, we can implement the same logic. I mean, I'll copy paste this over here, movie.find div, and now here I'm trying to find the, let's say, rank. Now, where is the rank of this movie? You can inspect it through this way. It's present inside this span, and you can see 9.3, or even if you I'm expecting like it is present as a text, but if you can get it as an attribute value, that is, even better. So here, anyways, it's getting reflected as a text, and this would be your element that you want to select. So span tag, and within the span tag, it would be IMDb rating. In fact, you can choose this one. This is better. You choose the span tag, select the attribute area label, and then you have a IMDb rating 9.3, which is its value. Instead of getting this text, because we have used the text-based approach earlier, you can choose another approach. So now you can say, I just copy this value over here, go back to the code, movie.find, the name of the tag was span, class value is this, and we are expecting to get basically a value of this specific attribute. So it would nothing be, but it would be populated in the year variable. That would be the rank, right? Let's say what year it was released. So it was um, here in 1994, but then to inspect it over here, it's present again as a text value here. So you can use the span, but this time you will have to use the div class within it. So span class this would be the value. So I'll copy this span class. Hmm, just a moment. Have I made some mistake over here? Rank, is it correct? So this was the rank. Span area label IMDb rating 9.3. Span, no, I think I've made that mistake. The above line is already copied away. So I'll say span, comma, area label, and this should give me the value which is present as a value of this attribute. And now here is what we were looking at, and your information is present over here, which is this one. This within the span tag again, and with this specific attribute value. So it is span class, and then the value. Okay. And this class will give me an error because I have not mentioned. Class is a keyword in Python, hence you cannot use it this way. You have to mention it as class underscore. Okay, it's a reserved keyword in Python that we use for creating classes, custom classes in Python. Again, movie.find, and then we will get the rating. So rating is specifically 9.3 and nothing else. Okay, so if you see over here, 9.3 high, and inside parenthesis, it's 2.9 million, or that's the rating it has received, or number of votes it has received, right? But we are interested only the rating part, so we'll only get 9.3. But for time being, I'll just comment this. We can, if we get this information, it will have everything. We can strip using strip function or some another technique, strip the 2.3 million part, and that's what we can get as a rating also. So no problem, we can get this from rank. So these are basically our selectors, name, rank, year, and you can increase the number of selector logic over here within this for loop. This for loop basically runs on top of movies, which is nothing but your unordered list. Unordered list is nothing but these list, the entire thing, like from first till whatever the last row it is the entire unordered list. So we are getting that unordered list, and within which we are finding all the list individual elements. Okay, like whatever 250 elements should be. Okay, then we are running a for loop on top of it. I hope the logic is clear. Okay, even if like that page will is not working right now, but we are creating this script because definitely IMDb is meant for I mean, we can have that scraping data from IMDb, so you can utilize this script later to check the result. So once this is ready, what we need to do is we need to append this information in our Excel file. In our Excel file, right? Because we were trying to create an Excel, right? So OpenPy Excel is what we have used over here, but we have not created any Excel file as of now. So how do we create it? See, firstly, we have to create an Excel file using this class. So here the logic of creating Excel file with this OpenPy Excel should be placed. So let's call this as an Excel variable, and you create firstly a workbook. Workbook. So what I'm trying to do is I'm using this library OpenPy Excel. Inside this, I'm using a method called as workbook, or you can say this is a class actually. This is a workbook class. Using this, I'm creating an Excel object. Okay, from the classes we create object. So I'm just creating an object, initiating an object from this workbook class. This object will have all the attributes of the workbook class. So it has an attribute called as active. So let me write it over here, excel dot. In fact, before going to active, you can also check, like there is an attribute called as sheet names. So Excel can have multiple sheets. CSV can have only one sheet. You might have realized it when you are working as well in Excel and CSV files. CSVs are comma separated view files. So even if you create multiple sheets in CSS, it's just one single spreadsheet wherein values are separated with the help of comma, as in a delimiter. In Excel, we basically have multiple sheets. Hence, the attribute sheet name is very important over here because we can specify where the data would go, in which sheet it should go. You can be very specific on that part. If you don't provide that information, by default, it goes to the first sheet. Anyways, you print this information over here. You can print it to see what are the sheet names you have created, and it will give you the names of sheet in that Excel, like sheet 1, sheet 2, or whatever name that you have provided in that Excel file. Next thing is we have to define a sheet wherein this data would go, right? So the Excel object has an attribute called as active, and if you use this, you can define a object out of it. Now this sheet object can be used to append the data. Now in this sheet object, there is a method called as, it works very similar to how lists work. So there should be a method called as append, and then you can supply what should go inside the sheet. Now, our objective is that the sheet should have, what are we scraping over here? Name, rank, year. So it should have three column headers, right? It should have the uh, movie name, comma, movie rank, and movie year. Okay, movie year. So this is the, at least the three columns that we are defining over here, sheet dot append. And then you can increase the number of columns as per your, uh, if you are scraping more data, then you can increase the number of columns. Now we have a sheet, Excel sheet over here. All that we have to do is use this specific sheet object over here the same way how you have appended these text information in this specific sheet. You have to append these variables as well. I mean, whatever output these variables will hold should get appended in this sheet. So all I mean is sheet dot append, and in every iteration, whatever data you are scraping, name you are scraping, it should be appended in that sheet. So let's say firstly it was name, right? So it would be name, comma, rank, comma, year. All right. This is what it will do. It will basically append all the data in that sheet. Okay, so right now what we have done is, we have just written the code over here, script that we have written, and based on the logic that we see is correct or could be correct, we have not yet validated it, because as I know that this site is currently not accessible for scraping, but this issue has happened, as I said earlier also, and you can use this script later for checking if the script holds true or it is able to scrape the data correctly. If not, all that I think would be needed is little bit of tweaking on these parameters, because websites are dynamic in terms of development and maintenance. Sometimes the class would change, the way it is implemented would change. Um, I'm not sure. I earlier saw the table body and the table data, TD and T-body tags, but I mean, right now when we were actually writing the script, uh, it was not present. So all of that, if something would get changed in the script, would mostly be inside this section, inside the for loop that you would like to tweak. But the logic would remain the same. You are finding that tag, you're finding an attribute in that tag, I mean the class in that tag. When you are able to find it, you are basically moving ahead to get a text within it. So likewise, for rank, you are finding a class with a specific, you're finding the span tag with a specific class name. Once you get it, you are saving it inside the rank, and then movie as well. Okay. Once you append this information in the sheet, all that you need to do is, I'll, so we are in the except block. So except block will throw any exceptions. Sorry. And since this sheet is created, but we have not yet saved it, so I'll say over here sheet dot save, or not sheet dot save, sorry, my bad. We are creating an Excel object, right? Excel object, Excel dot save. Just a second. I hope there's just a save method here, and we will provide the name of the Excel file. The name of the Excel file can be imdb underscore movie rating dot excel dot xlsx. So this could be your file where it would get saved. It would get saved at this specific location. If you provide any other location, you can provide it over here. But the main thing you need to remember is specifically in Windows. Let's say if I'm saving it in ctemp slash, this is not valid path because as you can see, temp has a T character, which is a special character in Python, \T, used for tab. And to make this void, you can use a raw string over here, R, and then provide the path, full path. Or another alternative is you provide a backslash over here again, and this should also work. Same way how regex, we implemented the same, almost the same logic in regex, right? To make any special character null or treat it as a literal string. So you can use two backslashes, or you can use a raw string, small r, at the start of the string, which will make this entire thing as void. Even though it is showing highlighting in like a different color over here, my understanding is that raw string will basically treat this as a literal string. We have used this couple of times in pandas as well. Anyways, I'll remove this. This was just for reference. And as I know that this script will not run, but anyways, it will throw an exception because of that issue. And firstly, this time I am expecting not a 403 error, but instead when it will be inside the try block, it will try to get source.txt. When it will try to get source.txt, it will try to find all the unordered list within that text. It will not get it because the 403 error has not returned us the complete content. Since it has not returned the complete content, here itself, line number 19, possibly you would find element not found or resource not found errors, something on those lines. So eventually the exception would, it would go directly into the except block. So this script is for reference when you would be using it later. So, but the concepts used will be used in other places as well. This time and run the script. You see over here, we are at, okay, main.py, sheet got created, we got that 403 error, uh, and none type object has no attribute find all. This looks like a script based error, but which line it is coming from? Mm, no attribute find all. So somewhere I've used find all, wherein it says here, I think. Okay, another thing is you have an Excel file, but of course it will not open here. So if I open it with, of course there will be no data over here, but then what I'm trying to check is the way we have implemented that movie name, movie rank, and movie year logic. The same way, once we get the data, if you are appending this correctly, then within the code itself, this logic should also work. So within the code, as in this logic, line number 27, once you get the name ranking here. Okay, and none type object. Okay, now I think I got the issue. This information is returning as none, and none type object, why it's returning as none? As I said earlier, because of this problem of not getting the content over here. It's not able to find UL, and since it's not able to find UL unordered list in your content, it is returning as none. Since it is returning as none, there's no method on that none type object called find all, and hence it is returning this specific error. Okay, but anyways, I hope is the logic clear. What the way we have implemented a very easy use case of performing the web scraping, and I'll upload this on GitHub, wherein you can try this directly. Once this site problem is solved, let me see one more time. By the way, in the meanwhile, any questions on this specific part of code? We tried with normal sites also, right? There's one called as top news, top movies. Where exactly? Okay, there was something at the bottom. Just trying to check one more link, which normally I also use for some demo purpose. Okay, this is top US. I'm not sure. Just for an reference purpose, I'll scrape this. I'll not write the entire code again, but normally the implementation is almost the same. It will have an unordered list. It will have in list within that unordered list tags, and then if the implementation is correct, then hopefully should get some results. Mm, it looks like it was the same thing. Okay, permission is denied because I think this Excel file was open. Okay, no problem. We are not worried about the Excel file, but on all we are worried about whether we can get something. Line 32 is giving me an error. What was that? It was related to the same issue. Okay. But anyways, I mean, I see here also we are getting this 403, isn't it? We are getting this 403 over here. So it's like we are not able to select any page so far. Can we get item based on XPath in Beautiful Soup? See, item based on XPath actually means if you go to this specific, let's say you want to find this movie name. I inspect this, and now I want to define XPath over here, right? An XPath of this. So what I would do is backslash h3, and then inside that class is IPC. Class is equals to IPC. I'll write it in the same way. You're getting my point. I'll write it in the same way as I have written over here in Beautiful Soup. This is the name of the tag that I want to find. This is the name of the class I want to find. And then on top of it, I want to get the text of it. Okay, this is an anchor tag, I believe. Okay, for this specific element, but in the use case that I'm trying to show, it would be text. This is the way we write, you can say, selectors within Beautiful Soup. All right. We cannot write directly that XPath thing over here. But if you have used Selenium, if you remember, in Selenium we have find elements by ID, find element by XPath, or by.id, by.xpath. There are by classes over there. Okay. So in that XPath, you provide that actual XPath that you have to use for finding the elements. By the way, I mean, for this, I would like to know whether Selenium is used by, like, have you used Selenium earlier? So this would make sense that what I'm talking about over here. Okay, perfect. If you have used Selenium over there, just I'm writing pseudocode over here so that all others will understand. Let's say there was a name that I want to populate. So in Selenium, we have a by class by. Okay, we have a XPath uh, method inside the by class. Here, we actually provide the XPath over here. So XPath for this one would be, like I said, nothing but the h3 tag, then the class, and then the rest of the thing. So h3, then the class, which is nothing but @class, and then I'll specify the value, whatever it is. Not going into that depth. And then let's say I want to find a text. So I'll write text over here. Okay, something like this. Here, what I'm doing is I'm actually providing an XPath and selling it. Okay, but in Beautiful Soup, we basically have inbuilt methods. Find all, find previous, find the way I showed you earlier, right? Find ancestor and find parent, through which we can apply or we can implement this selection logic of respective elements. Okay, I hope that is clear. Or I'll just remove this part. Okay. All right. I'll save this file later in the GitHub repository. Okay. Just give me a moment, guys. I'm trying to see. So we can take one more example over here, and this example would be related to, let's say, scrapping Amazon.com or any other application. Let me see if I have something very handy ready with me so that I can implement it to you without investing much time on that coding part. So this was IMDb. Okay, this was IMDb that we created. This is nothing but the reference file that I ran, I think this morning or last evening I ran when it worked successfully. Uh, Anyways, let me see if there is something else. Means wrapper. Um, hmm. Okay, this we can take as an example just to see. Here there is a concept of user agent, which is a good learning, which could be a good learning over here. And let's dive into user agent so that we will be able to, once we learn user agents and then we run proxy rotation through third-party Python libraries or through some tools. So guys, Zite is one tool you should have an account on. I'll mention it over here. ZYTE. This is one tool that you should have an account on, and sorry, inside shell, side proxy. Okay, it's a smart proxy manager. I'm not sure if it's being used in your organization, but it is the de facto or very mostly highly used proxy manager service mostly everywhere. So it you can try it for free. Just create an account over here. I think in the first free account that you will have in a month, you can have around 100 or some 50 or 100 um, calls that you can make. Uh, and you can utilize their proxy rotation services in your script, which is enough for our learning purpose on how to use third-party tools to handle proxy rotation. But there are many tools out in the market. Okay, if you use, yeah, any one of you have used Bright Data, it's one another tool. I should do something about this banner. It's a little annoying today, but anyways, Uh, I'll figure it out later. Bright Data Proxy, as you can see. Another third-party tool, which is, I think you are getting 600 IPs over here, IP addresses. And again, I believe Bright Data also has a free trial that you can use. All of these tools I'm discussing over here just because one of them will be using, Zite possibly will be using. It's used in my organization also. So very familiar with this specific platform. But if you are using this Bright Data or any other tool, you are free to use that. I mean, nothing has changed. All you need is an API key to integrate it with your script. Coming back to the original point that we were discussing, so this script, oh yeah, it's a very simple script, but the good thing about this is this user agent. So I'm not writing all of the code over here, but I'll explain it to you what exactly it does, and you might by now would have figured it out what exactly it's trying to do. We are importing the request library to send the request to this URL, which is remoteok.com API. This is a URL which will have it's a URL to be meant for scrapping, so I don't believe there would be any restrictions here. So I'll quickly run this and we'll get a JSON file. Yeah, we are getting JSON data. I'll just make it prettier by enabling this option. Okay, as you can see, we have last updated and all of the okay, so we have this specific dictionary over here, and then all the other content is in this dictionary. We are not concerned about the content over here and what we need to scrap. Okay, that is another topic, like we can scrap any website. Important thing is user agent. Now, what is user agent? So guys, whenever we access any website through our normal browsers, through our phone, through our tablets, whatever device it is, the websites from the security standpoint always try to identify who is trying to access their web server and eventually that web page. So, like, to give you a very simple example, all of us have some kind of identity. Let's say Aadhaar card is our identity, which uniquely recognizes me as a person based on the demographic location I belong to and other attributes. Okay. Likewise, every other device out there on the web, connected on the web, has a specific identity through which it can be uniquely identified and define whether it belongs to a devices category. Okay, whether it is a browser, Mozilla, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, or it's a phone, iPhone or any other phone. Okay, so it's a kind of a unique identifier. User agents basically helps in identification of that specific browser which is present on the device, which is trying to access your remote web application. Okay, so by supplying this information over here, in my request, so you're seeing over here in request.get, I am supplying headers as an argument. Within headers argument, I'm supplying user agent as a parameter. It's a dictionary basically. This is the keyword. You have to be using exactly the same thing. Okay, you cannot mess up with like user agent. No, it should be user hyphen agents over here. So 200 status code. Okay, user agent. Okay, user agent would be giving it because now this is the way of bypassing that issue. So that's the reason I earlier mentioned that using proxy rotation and using user agent, you would be able to circumvent or bypass these 403s or blocking issues. Okay, as I said initially on the during the start of the session, that the IMDb script is for understanding the concept, right? And how we can bypass these issues like CAPTCHA, user agent proxy, we will see step by step without taking all of the concepts at once. Uh, Okay, we'll try with the user agent as well and see how it works. But for now, I was explaining this. Yeah, this user agent basically helps in identification of that browser that is trying to access that web application. Now, what happens in today's age is like earlier, I mean, not 15, 20 years back, or let's say at the start of these web applications, internet and all, there were not many websites and there were not many bots that used to scrape the data from these websites. So why is this mechanism in place? We need to understand that. It's not just like we have to learn it because it is present, but why there is a need of user agent, why there is a need of user identification? Because the browser needs to, because the web server needs to identify who is trying to access. If it is a bot, then it should quarantine that bot and restrict it from scraping any kind of data from that specific web application. Okay, but if that bot carries a user agent of a browser, that time the web application gets tricked in a way that it identifies that bot as a browser and it allows it to access its web content. So You can see over here, there is a procedure, but there is a way to, there's a workaround around that specific control, right? So using user agents, if we use it inside our bots scripts, then we are trying to tell IMDb site or Amazon.com site that, okay, this is not a Python script which is trying to access the data, but it is a genuinely a browser. Now, which browser it is? It can be Mozilla, Firefox, Safari, uh, Brave, anything, right? How to get this user agent values? All that you have to do is you have to write user agents for, let's say, user agents for Firefox. If let's say you want to find the user agent for Firefox, so it will give you, I mean, there are multiple links which have this information. In fact, the official links have this information as well. It will have good amount of information. You can see over here the kind of syntax that we can use to create user agents. Or, I mean, you can go over here, you can see multiple user agents for like Firefox. If you are using Firefox on Linux, ideally you would like to choose from any one of them. If you're using it on an iOS device, these are the user agents, and so on and so forth. The same way, if you're using like user agents for Chrome, you can get it the same way. Okay, all that you have to do is specify that value in that user hyphen agent key of that dictionary. So this is the standard user agent for Chrome for Windows 10 devices. Are we clear on this part on the significance of user agent? Now the next part is proxy. I'll not touch upon proxy part today, but yeah, definitely it will also go as a part of your header information. And where is it? Where is the file I was discussing? It would be a part of your header information, and then you can use it for um, avoiding your IP address to get blocked. So eventually what happens is, not by one request or two requests your Python script will get blocked. It never happens that way. If you just execute it once right now, if you execute it after a couple of minutes later, it would not, ideally would not get blocked if you are using user agent. But if you are running it in a for loop consecutively, or let's say you have created multiple threads of this which are running in parallel, then the IP address would be identified because over at that point in time, multiple processes are being initiated from that specific IP address. And then even if you specify the right user agent, your IP address will be blocked. Hence, we need a proxy rotation service, which what it would do is our script basically connects to that proxy server, let's say Zite. Proxy server will allocate a specific IP address to a specific thread. Okay. The next time the thread executes, it will allocate a new IP address, so on and so forth. It will keep on rotating the IPs, and that's the normal concept of proxy rotation, right? Some of you might be using VPN, so it would be very much clear to you, like how VPN works at the backend after creating a secure tunnel. So after every time you create a VPN, you create a tunnel at the backend, but eventually you get an intermediate proxy as well, which keeps on rotating each time so as to make your traffic that is being exchanged being anonymous. Like your sender and receiver could not be identified in any of the way. Or if you would have used Onion or router or Tor browser, again, it's the same concept applies of multiple proxy rotations during the entire step of sending a request from sender to the receiver and getting the response from the receiver from the web server back to the sender. All right. Having said that, uh, I'll quickly run this script just to see if things are good. I think these were the previous results. Anyways, it will create a new results.csv, right? Oh yeah. So if I run the script, I'm expecting a new CSV file, and this time I'm using pandas over here. So I'm importing pandas as PD. So whatever content I'll be getting in the response variable, I think what I'm trying to do over here is in that JSON file, which means this specific, so this is a list, isn't it? This is a list. Inside this list, you have two dictionaries, dictionary one and dictionary two. So in the list, if I write 1:, all it means is it is trying to access this information because this is 0th element, this is the first element. So 1:, anything which is at index position 1 or ahead of 1. So it will get that information, and then we are saving it inside a data frame, and then we are exporting it to a CSV. It's a very straightforward process, nothing special here. And let's run this. So I'll create a, I'll use the same, I cannot use the same virtual environment because I don't think we have pandas here, but we can install pandas. And in a moment it should get installed. Okay, it looks like it was there already, not sure how. But what is the virtual environment here? It's okay. The reason it is showing as requirement already satisfied is because this script has chosen a Python interpreter that I created earlier. You can see it is pointing to bs_script and not pointing to the actual interpreter that we created at the start of the session. So if I point it to the actual interpreter, which is inside the documents, demos, venv scripts, python.exe, select this, okay, and this venv all which is activated, you need to deactivate it. Now it's deactivated, and now you can activate that specific uh, you can activate that specific virtual environment. So this was web scrapper demos, right? Hmm. Python.exe. Okay. I'll copy this path. Mm, and then activate. Okay, I've activated this. All I need to do is install pandas here because this environment I don't think has pandas. So it is, as you can see, collecting. Now it will install. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll go back to the root folder because that's where the CSV file should be created. So it is inside the documents. Mobile, no, not mobile. Web scraping, B2, PS scrape. I think we are the Amazon scraper. Not this one. API scraping. I think this is the one. Yeah. Results 1 and results 2. So I copy this path and it is still installing pandas. Why I'm installing pandas in my virtual environment is because I would need it later for our further use cases. So I'm installing it this time itself. Because not every time OpenPyXL is um, easy to work with, to be honest. Um, Pandas is better way of just creating Excel CSVs in just 2 lines of code. I'm not sure why it's taking a lot of time, because the reason being I'm connected to my mobile internet, guys, and as I said, the battery is at 2%, roughly around 2%, because of this power issue that I'm having. It's very difficult to work in such conditions. Okay, it's done. So we have pandas installed, and all that we have to do is navigate back to API scraper. Sorry. If you see, we are inside the main.py file, here it is, and here only it should create the CSV file, hence I've changed the path. If I run this one more time, see if the CSV file gets created, we should see something called results.csv. Here we have the results.csv, plus you can see the output also. that you have an index, and these indexes are provided by pandas because we have used a pandas data frame. So 0, 1, 2, these are index. URL is the header, slug is the header, and all of this information which is truncated right now is because we are using VS Code, and you can increase this issue. I mean, this issue is just because the width of the text that you have on the terminal is more than the actual width defined for this terminal. So so you can see the actual information in the CSV file. Each of these objects is separated by comma. So you can see this is the column headers, slug ID, epoch date, company name, company logo, and so on. These are the actual values from row number 2. These are the actual values. And if you see all of the information, which was initially present uh, in the form of dictionary over here, we have now summarized it in a tabular format, and now you can use it for your further data preprocessing task, which is another use case. We won't go into that part. So this was one example. Any questions for this specific example, guys, and specifically related to user agent that we have discussed? Sorry, you mentioned user agent is working for this. Yeah, it should work because then we would be telling the browser that it is telling the IMDb website that we are using a Chrome browser or Firefox browser. Before moving ahead, any questions, guys, for this part? I assume silence as no, or everyone is with me, or no one is with me. Okay, thank you for confirming. Now we'll move ahead and we will try to. Okay, there's one more. Okay, thank you. Thanks for confirming. We'll go ahead and try to implement that user agent in that IMDb. So the IMDb, this is the file that I created earlier, present inside the web scraping demos folder. Here, I'll specify the user agent. Okay. Here only I can specify headers. Let's write headers over here because it's a part of your request, right? Headers is a dictionary that we are expecting, and it should have uh, user hyphen agent colon, and now we have to specify the user agent that we want. So it would be this. Okay. This headers, we will pass it as an argument to your request. Okay. Now, once we have this header information, we specified the user agent, and there's one. Okay, thank you. So we'll just quickly go back once, and the file that we were referring was API scraper, I guess. This is hopefully correct. User hyphen agent. Sometimes I make mistake missing this hyphen part. So it's correct. User hyphen agent. Now the expectation is that it should understand that this is not a script or a bot. IMDb should understand that this is not a bot, and it should try to parse the page if the selectors are correct. So Excel file it has created, we'll just delete this. Okay, there's okay, some issue with the selector over here. What it's trying to say is bound object raise for status. Okay, this was raised for status in noun object. Now raise for status is, I think we have printed this specific line. So we have created an Excel. We have printed Excel.sheet names. Okay, let's remove this. Sheet is equals to active, append, user agent is specified, headers is specified, source is what we are getting after request dot we are specifying source dot text, source dot status code. Now what's source dot status code for us? You see all of this content that we are getting. Um, Let me quickly until from this point. Okay, there's some issue with the selector part, guys. So we are trying to identify what exactly it is. Until this point, I'm trying to comment a bit. Okay, and exception will remain as it is. In fact, we'll not even create this Excel file for now. And have you just before running this, have you executed this code or written this code exactly at your end? Uh, or I mean, you will be doing it later. The reason being, I mean, are you getting the same error while implementing the same logic? Or is there any other logic you have implemented? Guys, yes, no? Even if it's no, that's fine because you can work on that later. My point of asking is like, are you getting the same error if you have implemented it, or the selector that you have chosen is something else? Maybe I might have missed it while writing the code. Mm, any responses? Yes, getting okay. No, sir, we will work on that later. Okay, no problem. That's absolutely fine. So what I would be doing is I would try to see what exactly is getting wrong over here as far as selectors are concerned. So I'm printing the source.text. Okay, I think we need to change the URL to top 50. Okay, have I changed it? Okay, thanks for that. I think last time I was trying some different URL and accidentally I've kept it as it is. Just give me a moment. There's someone there at the door. Sorry guys, I'm back. Um, so what we are trying to do is we were trying to change this link, right? .com top 250, I guess. Yeah, this was the actual link. And anyways, I've commented the code. It's okay. We'll see if it is getting the source code until this point. Let's try to uncomment until this. Okay. And what I need is I want to return this is movies, right? Let's say I want to say I want to return the results. So I'm creating an empty list called as result. Within this, I am saying I want to append what name, comma, rank, comma, year. Hmm? Name, rank, year. All right. And once the result is populated, I would be using it over here. So result. Or I could have just okay. Anyways, I've pasted it. I mean, I am executing it outside the try block. It's okay, no problem. It should work if the selectors are correct. And we are not creating any Excel file, right? So I'm just commenting anything related to Excel for time being. This one as well. Let's run the script to see if there is any error related to selectors. Okay, we are getting something result. There's some error with the result variable, but this is the content. Hmm. Maybe because it's outside the scope of this, we are defining results here. So we should be expecting it over here. None type object has no attribute find all. That's the error we are getting. Again, looks like the error is related to we have used find all only once here in the entire script, which is at this location ul list hyphen list. Sorry, anyone is saying something? I cannot hear you.
I guess the value of class is different for UL.
Sorry, you're saying class is different for
UL.
ul. Okay. You mean to say the class here is not correct, but this.
Yes.
Okay, let's quickly check. So unordered list, right? So I'll try to inspect this. And this is the list item UL. Okay, the class is yes, this looks like this is the class that we have. Let's try to put in over here like this. And we are trying to find all the list within that class with this tag UL. Let's run this. Okay. List.append takes exactly one argument, three are given, I think. Sorry. List.append name, year, and rank. What we can do is we can put all of this inside a tuple and save this. Okay, now we are getting good information. Inside the tuple, the first item is, I think, name of the movie. None. Why none? What is the second item we are trying to pass? Rank, right? Year. Rank and year. So this is the second, and the third item is returning an element. Okay, we are interested in the text 2003. Oh, all that we need to do is get the text for this like this, and hopefully it should get me the year. And for rank, it is showing me as none. Okay, first let's see if we are getting the year, and then we'll focus on rank. Okay. Now I'm getting the year also. You can see year of the movies, and now we'll talk about none. Why it's returning none over here? So none is because the element is not found with that specific selector that we have provided. We'll again go back to the web page and see where exactly is, sorry, where exactly is that rank information. So we are interested in this 9.3, right? Let me get this part here. So it is span area label IMDb rating 9.3. Hmm? So inside this, or okay, I can use this as the class value, which I don't think I have used. Okay, and accidentally I used area label over there. It was not a class, no problem. If I had to run this, and then I want to find its value. Class. Okay, let's run this and see if we are getting the actual element. Once we get the actual element, we'll get the value as well, no problem. Okay, we are able to get the actual element now because you can see somewhere here, you see these elements, this until this point. Okay, so we have provided this class. Class is equals to this, and what we are interested in is area hyphen label and this value 8.7. Just let's go one step below. Let me write this way. So guys, any suggestions over here what we need to change? Any suggestions from your side? What exactly we are about to change, or what exactly issue we have here? We are able to find the element through this identifier, this selector. Inside the span tag, we have this unique class and everything is okay. Hmm?
The rating is in some other tag,
The rating is in some another tag instead of class, right?
not directly as a text.
Yeah, it's in class. So area label, if I write like this, area label something like this, and I provide the value like this, will that work? Or
No,
it,
it will not.
so how can we solve this issue? If we write anything like as in class over here, class underscore, this was the actual attribute we had, right? Inside, if you see movie dot find, just I'm writing one more line, movie dot find. I wanted to show the methods here. Not sure why it's not coming up. Okay, no problem. So now how do we proceed on finding and value? Yeah, you're saying something?
Can we do like tag dot attributes, rank dot attributes, and
Tag.
specify that attribute? We will get, I think, dictionary for that. Span span and class for that.
So
Can you
you're
put
saying
class
span
no,
class.
no, class underscore equal to the same class which we used
Uh-huh. Okay,
previously, and rank dot attributes we can do like that.
sure. So let's do that. Here we got the element. Okay. Now I want to access attribute within the element, which should be rank dot area label. You're getting my point. Are you trying to say this way? Like
A double tr rank dot a double
attribute.
tr. So we will, I think, we will get dictionary for that.
Hmm. Rank dot area, or you can say rank dot attribute. It's no, it's attr attribute. It's attr, and then you'll get a dictionary. But in that, I want to access the key with the name area level, right?
Yeah,
And now, if I append this information
rank.
here inside the rank, year, and name, this is what we have. Okay. Hopefully, let's see if this way works out, or the another way that you can check out maybe later is, okay, there's something mentioned over IPC rating star. This is, I think, the name of the, we can use this class also. It also has 250, it is also giving 250 results in the inspect tab. But I think it was related to the class that we are discussing. Another way is, can we think about this part? Can we provide the attribute as in the same way as in an argument over here, the way we specify class underscore over here? Okay, that is something I would like you all to explore. And this way, we'll try to implement it right now by running this script. Okay, none type object is not subscriptable. It simply means that we are not able to access this attribute label over here, but no problem. We should be uh, we should be able to
It's ATTRS.
ATTRS attributes like this.
Can we print only rank attributes there?
Mm, yeah, we'll
That line only, line number
do
27.
that. We'll do that. Yeah, just a second. I'm quickly checking this because anyways, if it comes, it will come over here as well. It's same as printing, the same thing, right? This is the same thing, right? If this list gets populated, it will print the rank attributes area level. You see over here, IMDb rating 8.0, which you can apply the strip method later. I believe that's a string, right? Okay, anyway, strip method will remove the trailing or the preceding spaces. I am not interested in IMDb rating, let's say. You can use the replace method over here and replace IMDb rating with empty string. So that way you only get 8.0. Okay, anyways, that's a different point. But yes, this way is working and we are getting IMDb ratings here. The point I was trying to, so this is good. This approach is good of getting a dictionary and then accessing the key of that dictionary. How about if we have a way of accessing it within the, as an argument of this find method? Is there any custom dictionary we can create and then supply it as a keyword argument? I would like you all to explore on that. I hope you are getting my point. Is it or not? Any keyword argument that you can supply over here and then supply it as a value. Is it clear or some doubts, guys? Yes, no. Is the scenario clear that you would be exploring later? Okay. Yeah. Tell me. Can you repeat once? Okay. The point I'm trying to make over here is movie.find. Okay. Movie.find has certain arguments within it. The first argument is tag. Second argument, default arguments I'm talking about is class. There is one argument over here wherein you supply a keyword or variable length argument. So I hope you getting my point. What is variable length argument? Double star args, AWARGS or star ARGS. These are variable length argument in which you can pass multiple values. So possibly that argument is meant to pass custom attributes of your web element. Let's say area label or any other attribute that you have other than class. So if you pass that over here and remove class from here, this element would be identified on the basis of the span tag and that attribute that you would be passing as a keyword variable length argument. Once the element is identified, you can get the value by using just year dot and then the value, because it becomes the value of that attribute, whatever you will be specifying. Okay, so I hope, is the scenario clear now? Or so I want you guys to explore which variable length argument and how it can be passed. Okay. And if and anyways, for sure, I'll be discussing this point because we have Amazon.com website to be scraped, and over there I've used the same logic for scraping. So, anyways, before doing that, I want you guys to explore that part. Is the scenario clear now? Okay, thank you. Because this approach will always be useful, because if you don't get a class which is unique, or if there is no class attribute at first place, maybe then you have to define any other attribute which you cannot pass it directly as in an argument to this, because find method will not support it. But it will support a variable length argument in which you can pass that argument. Using it, the element gets identified through which the text or whatever the value attribute value can be retrieved. Okay, I hope that's clear. Now let's move to one another example. So this is done. I'll close the ones which are done. A few examples I'm not coding actually, guys, because I mean it will take some more time to code, which are and to understand those simple concepts. I'm just giving you a walkthrough. Majorly, I'll code those things uh, which have some more logic inside it. This is the main file, home.html. What's here? Okay, this is a job site which you need to say, but it is what I would like to code it by myself actually, instead of giving you a walkthrough. I really want to do this hands-on because it has many concepts over here. You can see based on the script that we have. And yeah, this is a dependent script. Okay, 1.2.5. All right, I'll keep this for later purpose, and we'll take this tomorrow. Then we have ps underscore script. What's this? This is Amazon site. We have um, okay. Here we are passing the Amazon site, but the way we are getting this input is through some input.csv file here, which is present here. It has nothing but this URL wherein you are trying to access the data. I mean, just one another way of doing it, nothing fancy about this. Then you are using the user agent, but this is not the actual Amazon site I was explaining earlier that we are trying to scrape, but just one another use case. So we are reading this input file using read CSV method in pandas. We are getting the 0th position. We have hard coded it. Otherwise, we should run actually a loop here, which you can see is implemented in 13 and 14 to get all the URLs. So for the first URL, once it will get that URL loaded, then it should try to scrape the data within that specific URL. But scraping is very, I would say, not extensive. I'm just trying to get the response, the content, trying to pass it with HTML parser, creating a soup object, returning the soup object. That's all. Nothing more about this in this specific example, but I'll create an extensive Amazon scraping application that you can refer to. So meanwhile, I'll just close this. imdb.py we are done, which we have created and we have tested. We have tested it and we can export it to CSV file, which I think shouldn't be a problem. And yeah, that's the same thing that we did the demo for. All right. Okay. So guys, I mean, for today, because as you know, I mean, there's some issue at my end due to electricity and all. It's become really difficult to work in this, you can say, heat and all. So even anyways, the battery wherein I'm connected to my internet will get exhaust in just like 5 minutes or so. It's almost 2% and it would get exhausted. So what I'll suggest is I'll wrap up for today. We have half an hour left, or possibly I'll extend this half an hour in any other day, so that we compensate on the time that we missed out because of this outage problem. It's just that I mean it's becoming a little difficult to work in all of this situation. But anyways, I hope the concepts today are clear, and I wish that that all the assignments that we have discussed so far, you are completing it. If not completed, please uh, complete it, because I yesterday went through uh, few answers that you have submitted, and really I was very happy to see the different approaches you have applied in some of the cases, which I want to discuss specifically for this example that I gave for Git and GitHub. I gave two scenarios for you, right? So that is something that we would be discussing some other day. All these answers that you are providing, I am taking note of that, and then I'll be discussing each one of them, which I like, okay, this is unique way of doing it, or something which I might have not thought of in the first go. Then definitely I'll share it with the audience so they also are aware. Having said that, any questions or remarks for the learnings that we had today? Any questions? Okay, only a request I have is before proceeding for tomorrow's, or maybe in the day after tomorrow's session, we would need proxy rotation service. So please create an account on Zite. I hope I've given you the link. If not, you can search it on Google with this specific. Let me first give that link. Right, proxy rotation. Okay, and you can create an account over here. Because we would need it, because everyone should have their unique APIs, keys, and then we would be using it in our code later. And when we'll be using it, mostly so, you can use it in your Beautifulsoup script that we are writing right now, or better, when you use the Scrapy framework, that time you have a dedicated module which handles all the configuration related part. One of the configuration is API key that you provide in that specific as a specific key value pair. Therein you can provide. More on Scrapy, we will discuss it when the time comes. It's a very robust framework. In Beautifulsoup, you have to write each and every script, right? Then you have to implement the crawler logic as well. If you have to crawl from one page to another page, let's say you are at this page. Now, if you want to access another page, you have to go to the link of this page of products, and then let's say smart proxy management, and then get data from this page. In Scrapy, this is very simple because you create a spider, and that spider basically scraps the data. Then you can also implement a functionality of crawling, wherein it crawls from one page to another page, either through the concept of pagination that we discussed the other day, okay, or it will find nested links, like what is this link pointing to? You're getting my point. So what it will check the href attribute of this specific link, what it will be pointing to, and then it will go through all the other links and get data from that behind the scenes. Of course, it will get that data without any user interaction. So no problem. I'll wrap up for today, guys. And if there is no questions, we'll continue tomorrow. Is it okay? Or any questions?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day ahead. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, sir. Thank you.